So thank you, all of you, for joining us this afternoon for what is our 48th AGM meeting. So my plan is for this afternoon should take approximately sort of 30 to 45 minutes of your time today. But I'd like to share with you the agenda for this afternoon's format. Various people have various speaking parts, so you'll be pleased to know it's not just me. So if we start at the very beginning, so initially I'm going to be passing over to David Allen, who is our president, and he will be sharing his welcome speech and a slight reflection on the last 12 months. Following that, I'm going to be handing over to Sue, who is going to be doing all the adulting for today's official meeting. So Sue will be addressing the governance and the formalities that we need to address at our annual AGM. Then pass over to me, and I will be sharing with you an overview of the last 12 months and the activities of the association. We will then share some time with Craig as our chairman, who will be sharing his thoughts and overview as well. There'll obviously be times for any questions. If no questions, no one needs to worry about that. But if there are, fantastic. At any point, if you'd like to ask a question, then please just do raise your hand. So, Mr. Allen, can I pass over to you, please?
Yeah. So welcome to the 48th meeting. I don't have a lot to say. I think as an industry in general, I'm getting mixed signals around when you talk to people as to what we're all doing, but I think we are in very sort of uncertain times. But I think it shows the resilience of both the association and the trade that, we can carry on in what sort of are quite testing circumstances. I'm really proud of what we've done at the association over the last few years. We've really raised the profile, and that's something that I hope will continue into next year and beyond. And it is starting to bear fruit in that we are getting external organisations contacting the association who perhaps not heard of us before, but asking for advice and working on sort of programs with them. So I think everything's positive. We're moving in the right direction. Like anything, we could always do with more members. And there's obviously scope in the next year or so to increase board members as we look to move on to pastures new. But other than to put my thanks on record to Sue, Linda and Craig for keeping the show rolling, I don't have much more to say. Just thank you for coming.
Thank you, David. Sue, are you ready for your speaking part?
Okay, well, hello everybody. It's a pleasure to meet you and see you. Right, to the formalities. So I've only got a very small screen because I'm sharing my screen. So I'm going to ask for proposers and seconders if you could give me your first name, shout your first name out for me. So the apologies for absence. I've had Sean from Fuji and Nicola Peacock from the print charity. The notice of the annual general meeting was circulated to members on the 8th of June. As per the Articles of Association, I can tell you that we do have a quorum present. Can I please have a proposer and a seconder for the notice?
Craig and Jeff have their hands up, Sue.
Thank you. Okay, the minutes of the last meeting, which was the 47th annual general meeting held on the 19th of June last year, have been made available to all members prior to this meeting on the website. Again, may I have a proposer and a seconder to put those through, please? All right, I can see you, Craig. Okay, Jeff. Okay. The accounts for the year ended 31st of December 2025 were posted in the members area of the association's website, together with the papers for this 48th annual general meeting. Can I please have a proposer and a seconder to put those through? Thank you, David. I saw you. I can't see anybody else.
Craig is waving.
Thank you. Okay, our usual accountant is close to retiring. He is working with a new accountant who have agreed to take him on for the next couple of years to facilitate his retirement. So our accountant is now going to be Coates Business Services Limited, but we will still be using the same accountant to actually do our accounts for the next couple of years as a slipstream into the new company. I'm putting forward that they hold office until the date of the 49th annual general meeting. If you're happy with that, can I have a proposer and a seconder, or any questions? David Allen. Okay.
And Jeff waving as well.
Oh, and Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Okay, election to council. The Linda Edwards, Sean Holdham, Jeff Bufton, David Derbyshire and David Allen all reached their 2-year term and had to stand down for their council position. They have all agreed to stand again, bless them, with the exception of David Derbyshire, who is now retiring from the association, although we will still be in contact with him for some continuity with ongoing things. We've also had 2 nominations via email for 2 new council members, Keith Phillips of Pivot 365 and the lovely Lawrence Green of Green Sign Makers. Can I please have actually, no, I just need a seconder for Keith Phillips and for Lawrence Green because they've both had proposers. Thank you, Craig. Obviously, Lawrence, if you have any questions or anything, just give me a call or an email and I will help you in any way that I can. But obviously, we will be speaking to you. We're not just going to leave you.
You'll never leave us, Lawrence. You'll never leave us.
Cheers.
And finally, from me, yesterday and over the last few months, we've been working on the various documents for the association, the article of association, the memorandum of agreement, all the technical stuff. That went out and is being sent out to all council members. I've had some information back from council members, just making a few tweaks, nothing that was of any major importance. So can I have a proposer and a seconder for Company's House just to get those through? Thank you, Craig. Thank you, David. Okay, guys, that is me done. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Sue. Excellent.
Yeah.
That'll be my passport photo. So moving swiftly on from that, we're now going to start the main part of our presentation. Quick, Sue, move the picture. There we go.
I'm doing it.
So I'd like to start today's presentation by just giving a brief overview of our organisational structure. Some of you are familiar with this and others of you may not be. So it's a very simple format. As you can see, at the top sits the president. And our current president, for all of his sins, is Mr. David Allen, who is actually 50% through his second term as our president. And as you can see, he's delighted about that. Thank you. So our president sits at the top of the tree, as it were, and David supports the council, so the board of directors and the operational team to ensure that we remain on track and we are focused for the greater good of our industry. With that in mind, the council then supports David with the direction in which we choose to move forward with. And as you can see from the infographic, we have Jeff Bufton. We have David Derbyshire up until about 3 minutes ago. So this organisational structure was correct on the 1st of June. Moving forward is Sean Holdham, Gary Bagstaff, Ian Spence. And now moving down is myself and Craig. So myself and Craig are also council members as well as being part of the operational team, which I'll go into a little bit more detail. And then underneath, just because it looks pretty, Sue, for no other reason, is Sue. Now, for your reference, Sue is the only full-time member of staff that the association has. And as of next month, Sue will be celebrating 28 years of service with the association. Just putting that out there. So watch out for a LinkedIn post in the very near future regarding that. And alongside Sue, we have Jack. So Jack is part of our outsource marketing division, for want of a better term there. So Sue, if you could move on. Thank you. So as I briefly mentioned, myself and Craig support Sue in operational roles. So Craig and I are commissioned to approximately 26 hours collectively between us each week. And as chairman and as managing director, we wear many hats for the association. So our job titles sound a lot grander than they are, dare I be so bold. So we are a small yet efficient team. And hence the reason we call upon the council. We call upon the council to support us with our endeavours as an association. So as much as being part of the board of directors, as it were, is about coming up with ideas and initiative and feeding back on what's happening in the industry, it's also an active role for each council member to be able to support the association, to be able to deliver what we believe our community requires. And with that in mind, as I briefly mentioned, we also employ the services of Jack and his marketing team to be able to support us with our marketing endeavours. And on an as and when basis, we also look at outsourcing other provisions that perhaps we don't have the internal resources for. Thank you. So this is a very short slide just to give you a very brief overview of the last 12 months with regards to what our operational focuses and efficiencies. It was a slide title, but ultimately what's been going on behind the scenes with regards to the actual machine of the association. Now, for many of you, you will all be more than aware that in those early post-COVID years, the association had a tremendous amount of reshaping to undertake, not like any other organisations that we all had to face in our other worlds. And it's only really been in the last sort of 18, 24 months that we've actually been able to sort of ground ourselves in what we need to be doing moving forward. So certainly over the last 12 months, we've been able to make tremendous shifts with regards to, as I say, how the mechanics of the machine are operating, what elements needed oiling, and so on and so forth. So basic examples of that would be are telecoms. So we had a telecoms company that had been placed for a number of years and we were signed into a contract. But it was very obvious to all of us that perhaps that company was not necessarily what the association required moving forward. We were able to discuss our package at that time, reduce the services that were available, and we've now been in a position since the spring of 2026 to move away from said provision. That in itself means absolutely nothing to anybody other than the fact that we have been able to save the association just over £2,000 a year, which for us is a significant amount of money. So also with that in mind, we will go back. We were also looking about not just the money that goes out, but the money that comes in. So one of the initiatives that we brought around in January 2026 was the provision of Go Cardless to enable new members and existing members to be able to pay their subs in a way that best suited them, but also enabled us to address some of the processes that we had in-house with regards to how we collected subscriptions. Thank you, Sue. So moving forward, those of you that know me, even on a very basic level, know that these are 5 of my 6 favourite C words. So they ultimately address our why. So champion, collaboration, community, communication and compliance. So again, during this period of review over the last sort of 18 months, we've been looking at exactly what our purpose has been. And these are what we as a collective has underpinned where we need to be challenging our efforts, energies, and the services, as it were, and the support that we offer to our community. Sue, thank you. So then that leads on to how do we make our community? So 6 membership categories, 1 united signage community. So that is not the first reference to one of those C words in this presentation. So we have 6 membership categories, and these ultimately cover for us at this moment in time. We've tried to capture that diversity of our industry. So from larger organisations, right, so that will be the members, right down to the contractor membership category, which is a new addition to us in the latter part of 2025. So we hope moving forward that we will also be able to expand our subscription base. But watch this space, and I may be talking about that at next year's AGM. Thank you, Sue. So this then leads on to benefits. Now, the challenge that we have is because of the diversity of our community and because we are representing the industry as a whole, it's very difficult for us to be able to be almost too explicit with the benefits that we do offer to our industry, because it isn't a one size fits all. Like I briefly mentioned earlier on, much larger signage organisations perhaps do not need the resources that independent sole traders or much smaller new organisations require. Or equally, our commercial or education partners don't necessarily need access to the same resources. So we've concluded that there are ultimately 6 benefit titles, umbrellas for want of a better term, where we can offer those benefits to our industry. And again, I'm not going to read completely off a slide because you'll all be delighted to know that these slides will be available post meeting. But there are the obvious ones if we're going to be brutally honest. Some people just want to join our association because they need to be part of a trade association. So therefore, they just want the badge from us. Others want access to expertise, not just within our council, but with regards to perhaps our little black books or our own networks. And with networking in mind, we also offer opportunities for, like I say, individuals or organisations who are looking to expand their business circles, but not quite sure what that looks like, especially in our diverse and specialty areas. Sue, could you move on, please? Thank you. So That then leads on to our strategic pillars. So we have our 5 C's, which creates our why. We then have an overarching view of what those benefits are. So, but how do we put those into action? Well, these now take in the shape of our 5 strategic pillars. And again, so there's training and education, visibility and voice, community engagement, growth and governance, and strategic partnership. Now, I'm very mindful that that possibly sounds like I've been on far too many courses. So if you could turn the page, please. Then we now have the jigsaw puzzle in action. Now, I could sit here quietly now and see how many people can actually read that tiny writing, or I could move forward. So if you could, and actually highlight for me some of the successes that we've had with regards to slotting in our jigsaw puzzle pieces. One of those is our BSGA bulletin. So as I'm sure you're all more than aware, our BSGA bulletin was launched at the latter part of 2024. And ultimately, that's our online electronic newsletter that goes out the first full week of each calendar month. And for us, it's one of the staples of our marketing strategy. It gets a tremendous amount of support and feedback, and we are delighted that even over the last sort of 6 to 9 months, we now actually have individuals and organisations reaching out to us who actually want to be sharing articles and insights and updates. So for us, that's certainly an achievement and a success, and something that we are certainly working on evolving moving forward. So the BSGA bulletin goes out to our entire database, and that's just over 2,000 individuals, but it also has its own LinkedIn sort of subscription page. And again, that's just over 1,000. So for us, we get a huge reach with regards to our bulletin. Thank you, Sue. Now, the next one is something that we have shared in our bulletin and we have shared on our various social media platforms and what have you. It is the work that myself and David Allen are spearheading with the Super Sector Initiative that was established, probably about 3 years ago now, most certainly brought forward with regards to the experiences and the findings, dare I say, of the Grenfell Tower. So what the Super Sector Initiative is all about, it's bringing together sector leaders to create a framework for each trade, for each industry that outlines what competency looks like for individuals who work within said industry. And that's not just one set of competencies, because as we know, one size does not fit all. That's from new entry-level individuals who join, in our case, the signage industry, right through to skilled experts. Now, this is an ongoing, possibly sort of 2 to 3 year campaign, to be honest with you. There's a tremendous amount of work that goes into creating these frameworks behind the scenes. And we are only approximately 8, almost 9 months into this initiative. There's multiple reasons why David and I believed and were supported by the council that this was something that we as an association needed to be part of, representing our industry. So it's an opportunity for us to work along and to be part of conversations amongst allied trades. So we ourselves are in a particular group. It was once called the Envelope Group, but we're now being merged with another super sector group because numbers are increasing. But we're able to sit at a table, a virtual table as it were, and share thoughts and insights and experiences with the likes of Fixtures and Fittings, the Glazing Association, Fire Doors. There's lots. I'm not going to read them all out to you, but these are conversations that perhaps we haven't been able to have access to in the past just because you don't know who you don't know. So multiple reasons why this is an exciting initiative, and we try to keep you all up to date as much as possible with regards to how we're progressing with that. So with that in mind, Sue, could you move on, please? This then led to an alliance with the National Association of Shop Fitters, who we met at one of our very first super sector meetings. So, as we all know, and today is certainly not the platform to go into great detail about this, we know as an industry that we have challenges with regards to CSCS cards. It's not a new issue, and it's one that certainly has been discussed in big meetings, small meetings, and corridors for some period of time now. And we still don't have a permanent solution. But what we do have is a short-term solution whilst we work on what that longer-term plan looks like. And we were able to bring this to market, for want of a better term, in a relatively short space of time, because we were able to work in collaboration with the National Shop Fitters Association, because they too were experiencing problems in their own industry, in their own world, with regards to how do they bring about sign installers and signage experts onto site when our signage installers aren't able to get those cards. So this is an initiative that we launched again winter, the latter part of 2025. It's an 18-month card, and like I say, we're very much in the infancy with regards to what the final solution looks like, but the clock is ticking and we are working on that behind the scenes. Thank you, Sue. So if we've got a CSCS card, semi-permanent solution in place, how do we get that out to the masses? And how do we bring about real life, real world feedback? Well, part of that is ensuring that as many of our members are aware of who we are and the work that we're doing and how they can contribute to supporting solutions such as the CSCS card. But one of the difficulties that we had was that actually, as individuals, as sole traders or subcontractors, as it were, they had no means of being able to join or access our association. So another huge positive that we were able to take from just by chance attending a super sector meeting was that we were able to bring in our 6th category of subscription, and that is our contractor member. And again, that was launched in last part of November, December of 2025. Thank you, Sue. So when we talk about collaboration, we're also very pleased to working alongside Women in Signs and Graphics. And Women in Signs and Graphics is an initiative that was brought about possibly 6 years ago now by Sarah Fenner and Isabella with regards to bringing together women who work in the sign and graphics industry. So Sue and myself attended their first face-to-face event in the autumn of 2025. And as a result of the support that we were able to provide and our participation, Women in Science and Graphics joined the association, and we are now a headline sponsor. We are now a partner with regards to their initiatives and campaigns. Their second event is taking place in the latter part of October of this year, and they are also regular contributors to many of our marketing initiatives. And I believe the feedback from BSG and those who support it is that the BSGA has been a welcomed addition to the team. Thank you, Sue. So, Annette, I didn't know you were going to be here, but you may, and Steve, you may recognise these documents on screen. So Annette and Steve have been part of the BSJ family for a considerable period of time. And as we are supporters of them, they have been supporters of us. And I was delighted when, gosh, it must have been just over a year ago now, I think, Annette, was it? Was it about a year ago? We had our initial conversations about how can we as an association best support you and the services and the trade that you offer, but equally, how can we then take that as a resource to be able to best support our membership? So with that in mind, Annette and Steve have been regularly contributing to a brand new series that we launched called Business Essentials. And that's ultimately sort of a 1 to 2 page guide with regard to anything insurance related that impacts or affects us as a sign industry. Again, these have been available through our bulletin, on our website via our members area, but these are also physical pieces of collateral that we're able to take out to trade events and able to send out in the post. Believe it or not, people still do that on occasion. So again, it's being able to expand the resources that were available, but also be able to work with the likes of Annette and Steve, who form part of our loyal membership base. So thank you. See? So I've almost taken a talking pill, haven't I? Another brand new initiative that came around in the spring of 2026 was how do we bring about awareness, greater awareness on occasion to the work of our members? So yes, we can yes, we can put a thumbs up on and a comment to that, but how can ultimately we support our members to celebrate the work and the projects that they are undertaking on a daily basis? Well, such an initiative came about, like I say, in the spring of this year, and it's called Members in Action. And now this has had a fantastic response. Not initially, if I'm brutally honest. The first few weeks were a little bit like a ghost town, but the momentum is building and members are now shown. And the idea behind this is that members tag us as an association into their posts, like I say, of their work. And then this is then shared by us as a team out to our audiences. But each month, a member project is selected by the council, and then said project, said organisation is then declared the winner for said month. So over a 12-month period, the 12 winners will be put together, and then as a board at the end of the year, we will select the overall annual winner of Members in Action. So for us, it's an act of engagement to encourage that sharing, but also to give us that insight into what the everyday world projects and clients that our members work with, but also it gives us an opportunity, a low level, a reduced barrier entry opportunity to celebrate the works of our members. So could you please? So this, and I'm not expecting anyone to read this because I'm sure you all have. Now, David Allen has been a regular contributor to Sign Update now for the entirety of his presidency. And let's not forget now that spans over 36 months with about 11 months, 21 days left. Not that anybody is counting with regards to that. So during lots of discussions with Sign Update at various trade events that we've been attending over the last 12 months, what we've been able to bring into fruition is almost a 2-page spread for the British Sign and Graphics Association in their publication. So on the left-hand side is David Allen's presidency article, and then we have now brought about a technical issue to accompany his work with regards to all the information that we've been working on for the Knowledge Hub series with our compliance guidelines and everything else in between, which coming around. So, for example, working in hot weather, is that the right language to use there? Working in the heat, very topical at the moment. Lawrence, we note that you've been gaining in popularity with your post last week about ice creams, and we ourselves have designed a poster that we share at events and regularly online. But this enables us, and it's a term that I use possibly too often on occasion, but to sweat our assets. So we're constantly going back to the start of that circle to say, okay, we have this resource. Are we sweating that asset enough? Are we making the most out of that asset to ensure that we are reaching that wider audience? And I don't just mean our membership as an audience. What we're looking at is industry stakeholder audiences. And one way to do that is to be able to put together and work in collaboration with the industry press. Thank you, Sue, please. So I'm sure you've all seen today that on social media, this call to action has gone out. And if you're not aware, then please do reach out to any one of us with regards to where we are with the British Standard 559.2. Now, this work has been beavering away in the background now for, gosh, I'm going to say almost 2 years. And it's been spearheaded by our very own David Derbyshire. So up until today was our technical chair, but he is also chair of the group who's been working on the launch of the part 2 of the BS 559 family. So this is now out for public consultation up until the 19th of August. I have to remind myself there. Now, don't get me wrong, it's an incredibly slow process, but again, this work has been supported and facilitated to a certain extent by the association to best support our industry. What we're looking at here is best practice, what we're looking at governance, and we're looking at compliance. Thank you, Sue. Now, this is a particularly engaging slide. I appreciate that that may not be the case. But as David Allen alluded to in his opening speech, something that's incredibly exciting for us over the last, and I'm going to be honest, the last sort of 3 or 4 months, we have seen an increase in industry stakeholders, in end users actually directly reaching out to us as an association for support, guidance and insight. And although I cannot share any names, large retail organisations have been working with us, and we with them, I guess would be the better English, to support how they address signage in their estates. So safe installation. How are the signs manufactured? What steps and processes need to be in place to ensure that any subcontractors that come on site or who take on the contracts are compliant? So what does that look like? Now, this is a very exciting start to what I hope to be a much larger project that will be coming to fruition in the next sort of, I'm going to say 3 to 6 months, but we will be building upon that as we embark on 2027. Thank you, Sue.
Sorry.
Premature. So You'll be pleased to hear this is my penultimate slide and something that I wanted to bring to all of your attention. We spoke last year at the AGM about ensuring that as an association, we were visible and that we were present, and we were ensuring that we were in the places where conversations were taking place. So this is a very simple representation that over the last 12 months, we have been present at 6 different trade events, which I appreciate may not sound that impressive, but it is one every 8 weeks. And bearing in mind that the association is primarily supported by volunteers, these have been great opportunities for us to be able to hit the road. Some of us live closer to France than others, but hit the road, head up apparently somewhere towards Scotland and attend events representing our association, but creating opportunities to actually have conversations, which again, dare I be so bold to say, perhaps have been slightly stunted in the past for all manner of reasons. Thank you, Sue.
Can I have
So-
one? We had William Smith as well, so thank you, Ian, for allowing us to attend that one as well.
Sorry. That would have made it 7 and would have made my slide off balance. So I apologise for that. So my final slide is a very simple roadway graphic. So what does 26, 27 look like? So in its simplest of forms, halfway through 2026, I've touched upon what we've achieved. And moving forward, all of this is already in the diary, and this will certainly be taking place and hopefully completed by the time that we meet next year at our AGM. So we are looking at the BS 559.2, if not completed and finally formally announced, most certainly almost at that endpoint gate. We're also in the final stages of joining the Trade Association Forum. Now, the Trade Association Forum is a trade association for trade associations. There's 180 members across I was going to say diverse, but I've used that quite a few times this afternoon, haven't I? But there's a diverse portfolio of members, 180 of which. So again, the mindset behind joining said forum is that, again, we are meeting with our industry in that trade sense. Smaller trade organisations tend to make up the cohort. So what are they experiencing? What does the world look like for them who are operating at a trade association? What best practice can we take from that? What can we share? What best practice can we share? So this is more about us as a trade association and possibly less to do with signage. Again, we are committed and we'll be sharing news in the coming weeks with regards to the sign show, which is in September, is coming up. We have the Women in Science and Graphics event, again, like I say, that we're headline sponsors for, which is coming about in October. In September, I myself will be speaking at a conference in Australia. Now, that sounds a lot grander than it actually is. It is on Teams and it is just past midnight when apparently I am taken to the stage. But what's exciting about that is not this, but what is exciting about that is that they have contacted us. So they've contacted the British Sign and Graphics Association to say, we want you to be part of our panel. We want to hear what you have to say from your island. I was going to say wet and windy, but certainly over the last 10 days, it's been anything but that. So again, that's progress. That's exciting. Moving forward, we hope to have more information with regards to what the final solution is regarding the CSCS card situation. We're delighted that in November of this year, we'll also be attending the Far Size Convention, and that's the first time that we've been invited to do so. And again, in January, we will be attending the Size Express. Everything else in between, so the ones with the shields on, they denote smaller projects at this moment in time, which will be coming to fruition, like I say, the latter part of 26 into the start of 2027. Some insights into that. For those of you aware, we have a best practice guide that's been in place for a number of years now. That is currently going under review. We're getting fresh ideas, fresh motivation with regards to, is the document fit for purpose? What do we need to ensure is in place to get that out to market? That in turn is also going to be working hand in hand with an initiative that, again, is very much in its infancy at the moment, but how do we attract and how do we bring about end users? And not only how do we get them involved in the association, but how do we ensure that those end users are saying our names in rooms that we don't have invitations to? I can stop there if you wish. Does anybody have any questions? And I can turn my camera off and turn my mic off. Any questions?
Not at all, but great news and well done for all the activities. Absolutely superb stuff.
Thank you. Craig, it's your talking part now.
Well, now you've covered everything. I don't think I need to say anything anymore, but I'll try not to repeat too much. But again, as we said, it's a 48th AGM. I'm now in my 26th year. I think I was coming back I've done 23. I think we've had a couple of years we've missed through COVID and a couple of the trade shows when we've slipped. But it's great to see the continuation. And again, I have to put a big thank you out to the board. I think a lot of people don't realise that the time the board give up is their own. They've got their own work-life balance to actually to meet, and we wouldn't do what we do or half what we do if we couldn't rely on the board. But it is really important to remember the board are the people that are at the coalface. So actually, when issues come up, when there are things to reach out, we kind of rely on the information, that two-way street, and that makes us actually as relevant as we can be. So I would again like to thank David Derbyshire, for his role as chair of the technical committee. Again, it was mentioned about BS 559.2. I think we're probably almost 5 years, if not 6 years in, because it was something that Murray Crumpton was actually looking after initially, and he's been gone 3 years now, maybe a little bit longer. So there's a continuation. Sometimes things don't happen at speed, but it's making sure that they happen. So thank you for David Derbyshire for the time that he's actually given. I know we'll actually put something out in our social media. And I would like to touch on the fact that social media really, I think we're probably punching above our weight again with what we've been doing over this last couple of years. A big thank you kind of going out to our marketing team. I don't know if I can say the team as a whole. There's lots of bits and pieces that go on. We're relying on capital coming to us to share. I still can't quite get my head around what works exactly. My post about pant-based sausage rolls got over 16,000 views. I don't know why that over something else would get the traction, but this is all about, again, touching base people, things that actually they find relevant and actually maybe goes to a wider audience than would naturally look at. Trade shows, again, we've touched on, will be on stand S180 this year for the sign and print show. Again, lots of work kind of going behind the scenes for that, and a great inputs and suggestions from our leader, Linda. So well done for giving the sign show direction on what we might do. I know there's still work to do on that, but again, it's 3 days of hard work, but it's in front of the people that we need to be talking to. So that's absolutely superb for us. Again, Linda touched on governance. Governance for the association is important, and again, we listen to what the industry is actually after. So those bands that we were talking about in membership categories, I think we were 25 initially, Sue, again, when we, many moons ago. Obviously, the fact that we honed it right down to 4 and now come up to 6, we're trying to keep it as simple as possible and to have less reasons for people not to join. And again, the frustration for me is when I talk to potential members is the fact that a lot of them still aren't really looking at the other avenues that they might explore with the knowledge base that we have as a group. The logo still is very important to a lot of our members, which is great, but that's why the 5 C's that, again, Linda is hung a hat on when she stepped into the role, I think is so valid and so important. So again, great to see that. We have partnerships in place with other trade associations. You have some of them that are actually working in the background. Again, they've been mentioned with the CSCS card. I'll still refer back to my age now, calling it CSCS card. But again, it's something that wouldn't happen if we weren't working with other associations. We also work with the GPMA, who again are a band of trade associations that affiliate across the print, sign, and packaging sector. It's just strength in numbers, if you like, where maybe our voice wouldn't be heard if we didn't have the weight of the other organisations backing us. And that's something that I think has dramatically changed over my 26 years in the trade association. We all sat in our own little silos before. Now we're much more open to discussion and working with each other. And the same with the print charity. It was lovely to be able to be involved and watching youngsters kind of coming through. So being asked to be a judge, the same as Jack was, is something that I don't think we were asked to do in the past. So again, it's just nice that you can have some impact as we move forward. One of the things I'd also like to touch on is our guidance. Our guidance that we offer the industry, I think, is very much based on experience. And again, if I just look at the people on screen, the experience there is astonishing in what we can do. My biggest bugbear has always been is how do we save that? We have a great portfolio of information, but the generation as they are now don't want to necessarily read through long documentation. They want to have short video clips. They want to have a quick conversation. They want to have, so our delivery methods, I think possibly need to change slightly. And I know Linda's looking at that with a couple of other of the members of what they're doing with bigger networks. So again, we're always open to suggestion on bits and pieces that we do. And my last thing, just to sign off, is a really big thank you to Sue and Linda for all the work that they do in the background. I often don't think the work that they put in is actually recognised. I think the positions that we take as chair and as president, often we kind of get the plaudits that aren't necessarily deserved. And I hope I'm not speaking for you, David, but it's one of those things when you see the stuff that Linda has and goes across the desk, and the fact that she still comes on the screen with a smile, and it's got it's what the industry actually needs. But it is a case of actually that's why it's so important for me to see that we're actually having fresh blood kind of coming into the association, and to allow us to move forward. And Linda's 2-year tenure as MD, I think the change has been really welcomed and making a difference that is actually beneficial to the industry as a whole. So I'll stop wittering and I'll sign off on that. Handing back.
Thank you, Craig. Well, that concludes our meeting for the day. Would anybody like to share any thoughts or have any questions or queries? No? Definitely just me talking way too much today then. Thank you ever so much. I very much appreciate your attendance and your support. Lawrence, welcome to the family. Are you available for a call this afternoon?
I am indeed, yep.
Excellent. I shall start the stalking immediately. I shall touch base
Looking
with
forward
you
to
this
it.
afternoon and we can talk about all things BSGA. But thank you very much, as always, like I say, for your beautiful faces and your support. But take care and I shall see you soon.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye all.